Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode. Today we're going to be making Rugelach, which is a Jewish pastry. It's very flaky and buttery, and you can fill it with so many different fillings. For example, you can fill it with strawberry preserves, blackberry, honey and almond, and cinnamon and sugar and raisins. There's different variations. You could do Nutella, chocolate chips, apricot was one of my favorites. And it's rolled in a crescent shape. So right now what we're gonna do is work on the dough. So I'm just gonna tell you the ingredients you need just for the dough right now, which will be, I'm making a double batch, so we're gonna not look at what I have on the table, but listen to what I'm saying. So you're gonna need 2 sticks of butter, which is a cup of butter, 8 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese, or whatever you have. You wanna cut them into cubes. You need a 1/3 cup of sour cream and 2 cups of flour sifted, which I usually try to always sift, which I have here in a bowl so it's easier to sift and to take out of, and a pinch of salt. So let's get started by putting in our butter, cream cheese, and sour cream into a bowl. I'm using a mixer bowl. You can really use a food processor and pulse it, and it'll work out best, but I don't have a food processor right now, so I gotta make means with what I have. Okay. And then sour cream. Okay, and then we're gonna use pinch of salt, so I'm doing double batch, so I'm using a little bit more than a pinch. Okay, we're gonna put this on the mix machine, get that to get nice and mixed, and then we will go ahead and start adding in the flour. This is one of my favorite pastries growing up. It was always just very good, very buttery, and it was delicious. We'd go to the Jewish bakery and pick it up. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. I'm gonna need 2 cups of flour. Which I need to use double, like I said. And I'll be spooning it in, so. See, when you sift it, it's altogether a different measurement, okay? And you want to add this in a little bit at a time. So, there's a cup, and I'm gonna put in a little at a time and work it. This is eventually going to have to come out of this bowl, and I'm going to have to work it by hand. You want the consistency to be crumbly, because this is going to have to go back in the refrigerator and rest for an hour. So that's why I didn't want to bring all the ingredients out at once. I want to do this part first. So like I said, I'm doing double, so I'm using 4 cups of flour. And it's so much easier when you pre-sift into a nice big bowl or onto a wax paper and able to pick up the flour from there. This makes it so much easier. And I'm actually going to stop this for a moment because it's getting really stuck. So I just want to take it out of the paddle holes where it's accumulating, so it could mix a little better for me. And I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Okay. Turn this back on. And we need one more for my double batch. But for you guys, if you're doing one batch, you'll use 2 cups of flour. This is working out not too great. It would be better if I had a food processor, like I said, or done it by hand, but okay. I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna work this in the bowl for a little bit. And then I'm gonna break this into smaller components, like, bowl-shaped discs. And I'm gonna wrap them separately. Because when you go to work this dough, when it's rested an hour, and then you're gonna work it to roll out the dough to get your dough ready for the filling, you're gonna wanna do piece by piece. If you do try to roll it out all at once, it's gonna get too soft on you. So it's gotta stay refrigerated. And this dough, by the way, you can make it 2 days prior and then finish it, which this video might wind up ending like so because it's a little late in the day, and depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Okay. So, normally, like I said, when you work this in a food processor, you would have more of a crumble. So I'm gonna put on some gloves and I'm gonna work this dough because I just hate when my hands feel all greasy. Not a big deal, but then when I try to manipulate the camera by myself and everything else, I make a mess, and I want to avoid that. Okay. Let's get on some gloves and we're gonna work this dough. Because I'm trying to put these gloves on real quick and my hand's a little wet, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just mix it in here a little bit before I put it onto the counter and make more of a mess. You could use a cutting board underneath this and that would be great. And I'll show you what the dough looks like. You want to work this as quickly as you can into a nice ball and then put it in the refrigerator, like I said, to rest. I'm just trying to get all the dough in the bottom of the container up into this dough. Like I said, we're gonna roll this into separate balls, like maybe 4 of them, because I will be doing this at a later time. So the dough will be a little soft. If it's way too soft, you can add a little bit more flour, which I'm gonna do. Just a little, about 1/4 cup. Okay. Sometimes it could be too that the butter gets soft too quick. because of the temperature in the house. So that's why sometimes when you're baking, although a recipe calls for 2 cups, you might need a little bit more. So don't be afraid, you know, make your judgment call. Okay, and I'm gonna put this on the table at this point so I can work it a little bit. Just trying to grab everything out of the bowl. Okay, and you can see here the dough how it is. And we're just gonna work this a little bit like this. And you see how moist, it's still very moist, so I'm gonna add some more flour there. You don't wanna get it too hard, you still want it to be soft. It's gotta go back in the refrigerator, and that'll make it hard because the butter and everything will go back up to that cool, cold temperature. Okay, so now at this point, I'm gonna divide this. This is double batch. I'm probably gonna divide this into 8. You could do balls, or you could do a flat disc, up to you. I prefer to have it like a flat disc, so I will go ahead and use a, just putting a little flour so it doesn't stick on me because it is warm in here. I'm just gonna get a cup. Now you see why I don't like to touch too much the batter, because I don't want to get anything really dirty. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna do 1, almost like a biscuit. 2, I just find it easier this way. This is just me. You don't have to do it my way. You can roll it out into balls, and then this makes it easier for me. I'm gonna saran wrap these and put them in the refrigerator. And you can leave this up to 2 days in the refrigerator. See, I'm gonna get more discs out of this, so. And that's exactly what I want it, because when I go to roll it out, it'll be so much easier for me. I just don't want the disc right now to get all soft, so I'm trying to work this as quick as I can, because the butter is getting like soft. So here's one other one. Okay, if you feel like it's a little sticky, just put a little flour. The next one, same thing. Just gonna dust it in a little bit of flour so it stays, but you see how much I got out of this. Because this dough, you're gonna wind up rolling it out real thin. It's not a dough that you roll out and it's gotta be thick, so. I'm gonna dip that in a little bit of dust in the flour that's on the counter already. And I probably have 2 more discs here. Let's take a look. Yeah, about 2 more. I'm gonna put a little more flour because it's getting soft on me. So, 1. And this will be great because you could do so many different flavors, okay? And I will be doing a variation of flavors, so, and I'll put all that stuff, as always, in the comments. So, this one I'll probably leave just the way it is, instead of trying to force myself to make 2 more discs out of this. Just gonna flour it a little bit, shape it up, and voila. Okay? So we'll wrap these up, we're gonna let it rest, and then we'll roll them out. And we'll place the filling on it, This is a really simple recipe. Like I said, it's really usually done in a crescent shape, pastry. But I'm going to show you another tip, which if you don't want to do all that, you could also roll it out in a log and then slice it from the log and place it into the pan. All right, guys, let's let this rest. I'm going to wrap them up and then we'll go ahead and work this. All right, guys, so dough has rested, and now I rolled the first one out just to save some time. I put some honey, okay, I'm putting some raisins. These are gonna be really good rugelachs, and I'm gonna show you a couple of different ways that you can roll these or fold them however you want. So again, I have honey, and I'm gonna put some sugar. I want to put some orange zest, but right now I forgot to chop that up before I came on, so I'll probably do that next. But I just want to show you a couple of ways on how to do this. The other thing you want to add is some cinnamon. So I'm going to sprinkle some cinnamon on. Just going to dust it on. Okay. And then you want to have all your nuts chopped up. I also have, I'm going to make a variation. I'm going to have apricot preserve. I have some raspberry preserves. And I have also a blackberry preserve. So on this one here, I'm going to put the walnuts. And I ground this nice and fine so that it covers well. If you have it sometimes too chunky, it will come out when it's baking. So you want to try and have it fine. I'm also going to put a little bit of sugar. Just going to grab the whole bowl here. So, just going to grab a spoon and we're going to dust with some sugar. Now you can mix the nuts, the sugar, and the cinnamon all in one if you're doing one flavor. But because I'm doing a variation, I like to have everything separated so I could put this on how I want. At the end, you're gonna dust these two on the outside. You're gonna do a little egg wash and put a little bit of sugar on the outside. So this one here, I'm gonna actually fold, and you gotta work pretty quick with this. I'm gonna fold it over once, and then one more time. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. The thing with this dough is that because it's baked with flour and with butter and with cream cheese, it does soften up pretty quick, so you want to move quickly. And I'm looking for my pizza cutter dough. I apologize, I should have had it ready. Let's see if I could find it here. Of course, when you need something, it's never where you put it, right? Here it is. Okay, so this comes in handy. Just gonna cut it right across. And you wanna sort of leave the seam side down. So we're just gonna pat this down. And when we bake it, we're gonna leave this side down. I'm just gonna cut off the little edges here, okay? Now, you could cut these an inch across all the way through, and that'll have stuff come out. Or you could cut it almost all the way through, okay, and then cut it once it's baked so that you don't lose a lot of the inside. So we're gonna do one for argument's sake like this. And again, I'm leaving it with the seam side down. I'm just gonna plate that right onto the pan here. I have parchment paper, okay, aligned with. We'll do one more here. I'm gonna fold that over. And see what I'm telling you, the dough, because it's very rich in butter and cream cheese, it gets soft quickly. Okay, and we're gonna put this seam side down as well. I'm gonna cut off the little edges here. And again, I'm gonna cut this almost all the way through. Once it's cooked, fully cooked, then I'll cut it all the way. So those are one example, right? Then you're gonna have to constantly scrape and clean off your board here because it does stick. And every time you roll this out, you wanna make sure that you put flour on your rolling pin as well as your board. I was looking for my scraper and I don't have it handy, so I apologize. But you could use a scraper or a knife, a nice sharp knife, to clean off your area here because I used honey. Okay, let's get out the next dough. I have these that haven't been sitting here long, but long enough to be pliable to work with. So again, it's a little hard, but not that hard, so it's pretty soft. Okay, so again, flouring this, putting your dough down, and see how quick that grabbed that flour. I'm gonna flour again my rolling pin because it does get sticky. And we're just gonna roll this out. And you wanna get this sort of thin, but you also wanna try to get this into a circle if you can. It just makes it easier. Which I'm not the best roller, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's one thing I don't like to do, is to roll the dough. But you can make this rectangular, like I said, as well. And either style works, okay? But just for argument's sake, we're gonna work with this here. So on this one, I am going to put the apricot preserves. I am a fan of apricot, I will tell you that. So if you don't get this in a perfect round circle, that's okay. You work with it. Okay? So nice amount of apricot down. And we're gonna use, in this one, we're gonna use walnut as well. And we're also gonna dust it with some sugar. Not a lot, but enough. Before you pop these into the oven, you can put them in the refrigerator a little bit for them to get hardened up again a little bit. So this one we're gonna cut, we're gonna act like this was a circle, okay? Whoops, went a little too fast there. Okay, and you're gonna take it and you're just gonna roll it. Nice and pretty. And I'll come a little closer with these once I roll them up so you can see it. And like I said, if it's not a perfect circle, it's okay. You see how I'm working this? So this way it's a little messy because it does come out. Again, you're just gonna roll it. And if you could see that, it's almost like an envelope. Take the next one. I'm gonna do some with Nutella. I'll bring this a little bit closer so you could see it. So you could see, looks like a little envelope, rolled log envelope, like a crescent roll. And then I will put a little egg wash and then sprinkle sugar on the outside. And I have a lot to roll because I made double recipe, remember. So I will finish these up. I will make some with Nutella. You guys seen the honey, raisins, cinnamon, and walnut. This is the apricot walnut and sugar. And I'll put the variations on the recipe of what I've made so you guys could choose what you would like as far as fillings, but be creative. Pick whatever you like, whatever, you know, flavor you like. If you like raspberry, blueberry, just honey. But see how nice they look? You can put powdered sugar when they're done if you want, if you don't want to do the sugar on the outside. But this is a little messy, but you see how we made this work even though it wasn't a perfect circle? You make it work. Really nice. And when these get cooked, you want to cook them to a nice golden brown, not real pale. And I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to continue. And then when they're out of the oven, I will come back on and show you what they look like. Okay, there's a lot of rolling to do, and I don't want to take the time on the video just to go over me rolling them. So I showed you a couple variations. I'm going to continue with this, get the rest of this dough rolled out, because like I said, I have quite a few here to roll out, but this is really a great recipe. It's very flaky, very buttery. If you've ever eaten rugelach before, you'll know this is a really delicious dessert. And it's fun making too. If you have kids, the kids like to roll the little triangle pieces into its shape. Or if you press for time, you could do like I showed you, that one log, and then cut them, you know, almost all the way through. So if you take your time, you take the round circle, you can roll this out into a circle. But like I said, see, here's more of a circle. I'm not a roller. I'm not a great roller. I mean, I do okay, but not my forte. I don't care for that. But I guess we could do one more together. Let's do a Nutella and hazelnut. And like I said, you want to get this nice and thin, okay? So we're gonna do a little Nutella. I gotta watch because my kids love Nutella. So as you can tell, if you were able to look in this jar, there's not much in here because they devour this. So I'm gonna take as much as I can. I think it's enough for at least one. And I'm sure I probably have another container full of Nutella. And this will spread out when you bake it, so you probably just want to put it just enough just to coat it. You really don't need much product in this. The good thing about this is it's so flavorful, and all the ingredients just really marry one another. Like the jam, the preserves that you put in, that really does make the recipe delicious. Put a little more. And probably the best way is to work from the middle out. And this one we're gonna put the hazelnut, the hazelnut chocolate nut in this one, okay? I should really be using two hands here, so I apologize. There we go. Much easier when you're using both hands. Normally when you have a full jar of Nutella, it's a lot easier. Okay, so we got that spread out pretty good. I have ground up hazelnut here. Put that in. And I'm gonna put a little bit of sugar. And I'm gonna cut this down the middle. This is gonna be a little bit of a, you gotta be careful sometimes because when you go to cut this, it starts to roll with you, see? That's why you need both hands. And I could have probably cut this a little bit into more than what I have, but we're gonna go with what we have here. So here we go. Roll nicely, and here you go. I'm just laying them on the pan, on the baking sheet here, again with the parchment paper. These are actually working out really well. You just want to grab it and roll it like so. And don't put them too close together. Once these come out of the oven, my suggestion is that you take them and put them onto one of those cooling racks real quick. You want to get them off the parchment paper because of the simple fact that when they melt, the ingredients melt from the inside and come running out, you want to make sure that they don't stick to the parchment paper. And I'm rolling these backwards and forward. So towards me, whichever way is going to work quicker. You want to work as quick as you can with the dough. Like I said, because they are, it is a soft dough, okay? Because of all the butter and the cream cheese. All right, I'm gonna finish rolling here, make some variations, and then I'll plate it, and I will show you guys what the finishing results were. If you have something like this that you didn't get it all the way to the edge, you could trim off that little bit of dough. It's not a big deal. Again, just roll it. Here we go. Okay. If you find that you got it too much dough in the end with nothing on it, you can just trim it off. But again, there it is. Okay, and again, you're gonna coat these with a little bit of an egg wash if you want, and put some regular Caster sugar, or you can wait till they come out and then dust them with confectionery sugar. Okay, we'll see the finished results in a little bit when we return. Thank you for watching, and thank you for coming to Andiamo alla Cucina once again to share this video with you. It was a pleasure. Make sure you follow, like, and share. Okay, and we'll show you the results in a little bit.